You can draw this in Procreate. I will take you through all the steps of drawing this stylized character portrait in a bit of a Disney style. What you need to follow along is a canvas of 2500 by 2500 pixels. I have left a color palette down in the description. It's totally free to download, but of course you can also play around with your own colors and really create your own unique character. So now if you're ready, let's get started. We'll start off by creating a sketch, and the first element of our sketch is a simple circle. Now for our sketch, I would like to use the 6B pencil under the sketching brushes, and for the color you can just go for black. Now I have my opacity set to 100% and size at, well, let's set that to 50. And now let's draw a simple circle, and then hold your pen in place and tap one finger on the screen for a perfectly round circle. And next, let's make sure that our circle is perfectly centered because later on we are going to use the symmetry tool. So let's go to the move and transform tool, the little arrow, then go to snapping and turn on snapping here, and then just move it a bit and check if it's in the center. And then just tap the arrow again. Then it's time to turn on our symmetry tool. We'll do that by going to the wrench, then to Canvas, then turn on Drawing Guide, then go to Edit Drawing Guide, and then here at the bottom you will find Symmetry. And now you can tap Done and start drawing on both sides at the same time. This actually also looks pretty interesting, but let's start creating our character. First we'll make a jawline. We'll extend from the side of this circle and then go to the bottom here. So we'll sketch this jawline, and then here we'll have the neck. And then about halfway, about here, we'll have the line for the eyes. You can tap your finger on the screen for a perfectly horizontal line. And then on the side, we'll have these ears. And a little bit higher than the eye line, we'll have the eyebrow line. And now with realistic faces, you get like 3 sections. You have the section between the eyebrows and the nose, eyebrows and the hairline, and between the nose and the chin. And those are usually about equal sizes, equal heights. But in this case, we're going for a bit of like a Disney style character. And usually with these type of characters, some parts are a bit exaggerated. Eyes are bigger and the nose and mouth are a bit closer together. So in this case, I'd like to have like the nose down here, and then the mouth will be pretty close. Slight smile, and then she'll have big eyes. Start a little bit below the line, and the width is about the same as the nose. So we'll start here, extending the line from the nose, and then just making a curve like this for like the top lash. And then the eyebrow will be like here through this line. Nice thick eyebrow. And you can make the bottom part of the eye go a bit like this. And a big iris. And you can add a pupil in there, color the eye a little bit. And here you can make an extra line for that top eyelid. Next, let's go to the layer and turn off drawing assist so we won't be drawing in symmetry anymore. So tap the layer, turn off drawing assist, and then let's work on the hair. So let's have it start about here and then make a diagonal line over the ear, just something like this. And then here as well, we'll go over the eyebrow, across the ear. And then here we'll make a slight diagonal line and then go up like this. And of course the hair, it isn't stuck to the skull, so it has more volume here at the top. And then we'll make a bump here and then curve towards this side. Make nice dramatic hair, like a nice Disney princess. Curve down here, and then here we'll make a nice swooping line downward. And then on this side, go diagonal here, and then move back to the head. And then we'll curve again like this. Make multiple curves here. And then the hair will fall like in front of her body here. And let's imagine a shoulder over here. So we'll extend this line, then make a shoulder over here. And then we can have this hair covering this area. Maybe a little like pointy part here. And I have more hair covering her shoulders here. And in here we can make like a part of a t-shirt or whatever clothing you like. Going for a V shape. We can add an extra line here for the hair. Maybe some extra here. And now that we have this rough sketch, we can start refining it. So let's go to the layer menu. Let's tab the N and lower the opacity for this layer to, let's say, 30%. And then we can tab the plus for a new layer on top. And we can set that layer to a drawing assist. So that for this layer, we can use that symmetry tool just for a few of the features, of course. So let's first go along the jawline. Maybe we can make it a bit more smooth. And then let's work on the eyes. First, let's go for that top line. You can rotate your canvas. Make that top line nice and thick with a nice curve here for a simple lash. And then down here, you don't have to make a complete line. You don't have to close it here. And then the iris. And that little line on top here to indicate that top eyelid. And then the pupil. And then for the nose, let's just add 2 of these lines for the nostrils. And for the nose, I'd like to just make like a shadow shape, something like this. And we can color it in a little bit. So we'll make a bump here. And we have these sides. And then these nostrils will be a little bit darker. So this is a very simple shape with a little bump here at the bottom and a bump like this and 2 curves on the side to create a very simple nose. Then we have that slight smile. First start with the corners of the mouth, then a nice curve like this, and then the top lips with a little indent here, that Cupid's bow, and and that bottom lip like this. Now we can go for the eyebrows. And at this point, let's turn off, well, almost turn off drawing assist. Let's just do the ears here. And now we can turn off drawing assist. Go to the layer, tap it, turn that off so we don't have symmetry anymore. We can work on this eyebrow here. And we can start working on the hair. And just go over all the lines, make it a bit more tidy. You can use your favorite sketching brush. Just going along the outlines, creating that nice voluminous hair. Reminds me a bit of Ariel. Then this shoulder. And then finally, that shirt. And then maybe these lines. And then once you have this, you can turn off the bottom sketch and use this as a guide for all the flat colors that we will be adding. All right, so let's start doing that, and let's also turn off that drawing guideline. We can just go to the wrench, then to canvas, turn off that drawing guide, so we're not seeing that line anymore. Then let's go to our sketch layer and lower the opacity. Let's tab the N and slide to, let's say, 30%, and then go to this bottom layer that is turned off and tap the plus for a new layer on top. Now let's start by creating a layer for the face. Let's turn on drawing assist so we still have symmetry. Still works even though we don't have that line. And then for our brush, let's go to the inking brushes and use the studio pen. And for the color, we'll use this one. That's the first color in the first row. Now the opacity of this brush should be at 100%. And let's set the size to maybe 20. Yeah, I think that's nice. And now let's go and create that face shape. And here at the top, we can just create a shape like this and then drag in the color. Then we'll make a layer underneath this. So we'll tap this layer, then tap the plus, and let's turn on drawing assist again. And now let's grab this color, second color in the first row. And then let's create the ears, make a closed shape, drag in the color, and then the neck. Also create a closed shape, drag in the color. Now let's make a layer for the t-shirt. Let's tap the plus on top of this layer. Let's turn on drawing assist. And then let's grab this color, first color in the third row. And let's use that as a base over here for that shoulder. Then let's drag in the color. And then on top, I'd like to make the collar. Let's tap the plus, Then set this layer to drawing assist, and then we'll grab this blue, that second color in the third row, and use that over here. Create a closed shape and drag in the color. If you are having fun so far following this tutorial, then I think you might like my tutorials at Patreon as well. You'll find more than 200 Procreate drawing and painting tutorials there, including more character drawing tutorials. So it's the perfect place if you want to get your Procreate skills to the next level. And of course, you'll be part of an amazing group of flow creators. So I would love to see you there. There's a link in the description. But now let's continue. Then for the hair. We'll make a layer on top of the head layer. Let's tap the plus here. And for the color, let's grab this one. First color in the second row. And then let's just follow our sketch. Maybe make the brush a little bit smaller, 15%. And just go ahead and follow those swooping shapes. Like this. We'll start on the outside. You can also make some extra bumps here. Follow the lines. Then we have this line in front of the face. And this. Maybe make it a bit more smooth. And then let's go along the outer edge, the neck and the ear. Don't worry about this. It doesn't have to be super tidy. We are going to clean that up like this. Then drag in the color to fill that shape. And now we're going to tidy it up. And to do that, we'll tap this layer with the head on it, and then we'll use select. Just make sure that color fill over here is not turned on. And then we'll go back to the hair layer. Let's tap and hold the eraser so that it switches to the studio pen. And then we can just go along this edge to clean that up. Over here as well. And now we need to do the same thing for the neck and for the shirt. So we'll go to the neck layer, tap it, use select, and then go back to the hair layer, and then use the eraser. But make sure to not go too high here. And then over here. Along the neck here, and here we need to make sure that we don't mess up this area. And then here. And then for the shirt area, we need to go to the shirt layer, tap it, use select, then go to the hair layer, and then with the eraser, we can tidy this up. Now let's turn off the selection and let's go back to the neck layer. Let's turn off drawing assist and let's tap the layer again, turn on alpha lock. Then let's grab our color over here, first color in the first row. Let's go back to the layer, tap it and use fill layer. Then let's go back to that second color and we'll still use the studio pen. And now let's add some shadow here. And also underneath the chin. We can just color that in. Create a drop shadow. The chin, the face, it's blocking the light here. And also here along the collar, add a slight shadow. And also over here along the face. And a little bit underneath the hair. That looks better. Now let's work on the facial features. Let's make a layer on top of the head layer. Let's tap the plus And then let's set this layer to Drawing Assist. Then for our color, let's use this one. That's the 8 color in the first row. And let's use that for the eyes. We're just going along that line and create the white of the eye. Let's make the brush a little bit smaller, 8%, so we can make a precise shape and drag in the color. Now let's make a layer on top. Let's tap the plus, set this to Drawing Assist as well. And now for the color, we'll grab this one. First color in the second row. And now we can make the lash. And just start with very little pressure for a thin line and then add more pressure as you go to the outside. Try to follow your sketch. And if you want this to be a bit more pointy, then you can just grab the eraser. It's already set to the studio pen. And then you can just go along that shape and make it more pointy. And you can also do that over here just a little bit. Then grab the brush again for this area. Might need to rotate it. And use very little pressure as you move to this area. Maybe we can go even a little bit further. Now on this layer, we can also work on the eyebrows. We can add some hairs there at the top. Something like this. And here we need to go further, of course. And then let's switch to this color, second color in the first row, and use that for the line here on top. Use little pressure. Let me try again. Little pressure for a thin line, or just make your brush smaller, of course. That's also a possibility. And then over here for the nose, let's switch to the third color in the first row and create those nostrils. I'd like to fade this line just a little bit. And to do that, we can tap the layer and then turn on alpha lock. And then let's go to the airbrushing brushes and grab the soft brush here at the top. Let me check the size. It's actually nice. Opacity is at 80%, size at 3. And let's just go over this bottom part a little bit to make it fade. It blends nicely with the skin surrounding it. Or actually we could go even lighter with that second color in the first row and put that on top to make it fade even more. Then for the irises, let's make a layer on top. Let's tap the plus and then let's go to the calligraphy brushes and use the monoline brush. And for the color, we'll grab this one. First color in the second row. And let's also go to the layer and turn on Drawing Assist so we can use symmetry. Opacity of this brush should be at 100%. I have the size at 5%. And then let's create an oval like this. You can hold your pen in place and you can tap ellipse here at the top if you need to edit it a bit. Like this. Then let's drag in the color and then let's grab the eraser and erase the top part here. I accidentally erased a bit too much, so let's add that back. And then let's make a layer on top. Let's tap the plus, set that new layer to Drawing Assist as well. And then let's grab this color, third color in the second row, and let's make an oval on top. Like this. You can use ellipse here at the top again. to nicely make it align with the other oval. Then let's drag in the color and use the eraser again over here. And actually what would be handy is to select these two layers, or select this one actually, that's even handier, this one, and drag it on top here so that it will cover that blue of the eye. Then let's tap this one again, then tap the plus, and then we'll grab the first color in the second row again so we can make the pupil. And of course we need to turn on Drawing Assist. Let's not forget. Let's go to the layer, turn on Drawing Assist. Then we'll draw the pupil. And you can use ellipse at the top if you need to change it a bit. And then drag in the color. Now let's take a look. I think that looks nice. Now let's go to this layer. Let's tap that and turn on Alpha Lock. And then let's go to the airbrushing brushes for the soft brush. And then let's grab this color, second color in the second row. And let's add that a bit to the top here. Add a bit of a shadow. And then we'll grab this dark color. You can just tap and hold on your screen to grab it. And then add more shadow here at the top. Next, let's add a little highlight to the eyes. Let's go to this layer and then let's tap the plus, and we don't need Drawing Assist. We do need our inking brush, our studio pen, and we need this color, 8 color in the first row. And then let's add a little highlight here and one over here. Next we'll move on to the mouth. Let's make a new layer. We can do that on top of this one. Let's tap the plus. Let's turn on Drawing Assist. And for the color, let's use this one, 4th color in the first row. And let's make that smile. Start on the side and then move to the center. Something like this. And the corner of the mouth, that's where the line is thicker. That's where a little shadow is. Then let's make a layer underneath. Let's go here. Now let's tap the plus, set that layer to Drawing Assist. And then let's pick this color, 5th color in the first row for the top lip. Make sure you create a closed shape. And then drag in the color. And then let's make another layer. Let's tap the plus, set that layer to Drawing Assist as well. And then grab a lighter color, this one, 6th color in the first row for that lower lip. Make a closed shape, drag in the color. Maybe you can make it even a little bit bigger. Then let's turn off Drawing Assist. And let's turn on Alpha Lock. And then we'll add a little bit of a shadow. We'll use this color, 5th color in the first row. Add a bit of a shadow here. And let's also add a little bit of light with this color, 7th color in the first row. Add a little highlight here and here for a little gloss. Next, for some more shadow on the face, let's go to this layer and then let's tap the plus and set that layer to clipping mask. Then we'll grab this color, 2nd color in the first row. And for instance, we can add a shadow here. Now let's make the brush a little bit bigger, 15%, a shadow along the hair. And also underneath the eyebrow, along this hair, this eyebrow, and also for the nose. For the nose, let's turn on Drawing Assist actually on this layer. I can start here, create that underside, then that shadow here. And then let's also add some blush to our character. Let's first turn off our sketch here at the top Then go to this layer. Let's turn off Drawing Assist. Or maybe we can actually have it. Go to this layer, then turn on Alpha Lock, and then let's go to our soft brush again under airbrushing. And for the color, let's grab this 7th color in the first row. Let's make the brush bigger, maybe 8%. Let's see. That's nice. Let's go over the cheeks, add a bit of a blush. Then let's make the brush a little bit smaller, maybe 5%, and add a little touch of pink to the nose. Finally, let's add a few touches to the hair. For that, I'd like to use the Oberon brush. You can find it under Drawing. There it is, the Oberon brush. And let's go to the hair layer over here. And then let's tap the plus for a new layer and set that new layer to Clipping Mask. Then for our color, let's grab this color, 2nd color in the 2nd row. And let's make the brush bigger, maybe 30%. Let's see. Oh, that's a bit too big. 15. Yeah, let's go for that. Opacity is at 100% and size at 15. And let's add some blue touches. Create some lines here. So that's some light on this hair. Blue tones are very nice when you're creating black hair. So just some shapes, just a few touches of light. Then let's go lighter with this color, 3rd color in the 2nd row. Or actually we can go even lighter with this one, 4th color in the 2nd row. Make the brush smaller, maybe 2%, let's see. Or we can go bigger, go for 8%. And I'll press lightly and add some lighter touches. I want to go a little bit smaller. Let's go for 5. Just some lines like this over here on the top of the head. We don't need too much. Just a few of these light strokes. Then let's make a layer underneath our hair layer. So let's tap this one, let's tap the plus, and then let's grab this color, our base hair color, and let's make the brush smaller, 2%. And let's use this to create some loose hairs. And I like this texture that this brush gives. It adds some interest to our illustration. And then for a final touch, I'd like to add some soft color in the background. Let's go to this layer and then tap the plus. And then for the brush, I'd like to go to the artistic brushes and use the Quoll brush. And for the color, I'd like to use this one. It's very light, 5th color in the 2nd row. The opacity of this brush is at 100%. The size is at 40. And let's zoom out a little bit. And let's just add some light blue to the background like this. Just a nice little texture. And that's it. I hope you had fun. Don't forget to share your work, and I'll see you next time for the next tutorial.